Hi everyone, this is Sherry, aka Mothership. This is my third story, and it'll be the third of many. And, it'll be in my experiences. So anything in my experiences, volumes that you see, those are all things that have happened to me, like in real life. So, I hope everybody was having a good day or good night. So, here's my third story. So, my last story, I was about 5 years old. And now, once again, we live in a different house, different state. Everything's been going great when we first moved in there. And I can honestly say, I think when we did move, I felt kind of glad, like to get out of the other place. But, it's been like, I'll say a couple years, because now I'm about 8 years old. But yeah, things were going really good at the new house. I had a lot of friends, like that. We lived in a development, so I had some friends across the street, some friends across the other side of the development, and it was peaceful. You know, we had fun. We'd go. They had a little playground that wasn't too far from the house, but still in the development. So a lot of times, you know, my friends and I would go play there and stuff on the slide, the swings, the monkey bars, and especially the merry-go-round. We used to go like so fast on that. I had one friend that really used to like to roller skate with me, so we would like roller skate around the development and stuff. Not down the big hill because there was a really steep hill around the one side, but for the most part, mostly around the entire development, we could roller skate. And roller skates were really different back then. They were like nothing like they are today. They were like real like short metal. They had these wheels like that had these tiny little metal ball bearings in them. And sometimes those ball bearings would get stuck. So like as you're skating, suddenly you would just like stop and literally just like fall on your face. But we had fun with it. And we skateboarded sometimes too. Back in that day, the skateboards they didn't look like they do today either. They were like very thin. You didn't have like all the foot room to stand on like you do nowadays. So like I'm 54 years old, so this is like back in the 1970s. And so yeah, we did skateboarding, of course, the big wheels, the green machines, and you know, we had bicycles also. So yeah, I mean, it seemed like everything was really great. You know, we were just having like a good life, a peaceful life. You know, nothing scary, nothing out of the ordinary. I guess it just felt good. It felt normal. You know, peaceful. Nothing to be afraid of, and you know, things were great. And I just it's the best way I can explain those couple years there. They were good years. So, anyway, um, one of the nights it was time for me to go to bed, and I asked my mom and dad if I could sleep in their bed for a little bit, because we would do that a lot. Like, I guess it kind of made me feel like proud. Like, I'd get to sleep in my parents' bed while they were still up late, and then, like, either my mom or my dad would carry me into my bedroom then once they came up to go to bed and stuff. And, they just carry me into my room, tuck me in, and I would just already be asleep. So I'd wake up in my own room. So that was like, something fun to do. Well, anyway, this one particular night, you know, um, when I asked my parents, if I could sleep in their bed a while, and, they said yes, of course. So my mom came up with me, she tucked me in, and um, I was just proud to be there in my parents' room. So anyway, I was just like laying there, looking around. Um, I'm gonna say I was probably in there maybe, I'm gonna say about 15 minutes. I know I was still awake, and anyway, I was just laying there, and like all of a sudden, I felt this feeling. It wasn't like the feeling that in my second book, like the terror feeling but I just felt this, I don't know, feeling. Anyway, all of a sudden, there were three faces standing like they were side by side, and they were green, and they were like a green glow, like kind of like if you put something under the light for the glow in the dark. It was similar to that, but different. It would have been like more dimmer, like a more dimmer green, dimmer, but still had a glow to it. It's the best way that I can explain that, I believe. Um, so I can't picture anything that would be like the exact color that these three faces looked like. I couldn't see bodies. I like their bodies. I could not see. All I could see was the three faces that were like side by side with each other, and their eyes were big. I could see the space there, like the dark there. So where their faces were glowing, like I could see the spaces there where their eyes would be, and that was big eyes. They weren't like what a normal human being's eyes size would be. But they also each had like this. There was another dark spot where inside the glow, like the glow of the face, like on their cheeks. Just one cheek though. Like there was almost, it reminded me of like, it's sort of circular but sort of different. It had, uh, I would say sort of more, if you would look like, at like an octagon shape. But it wasn't technically an octagon shape either on their cheek. It was like, sort of more rounded. It wasn't really wavy. That's why I'm saying more like an octagon, because of the point there and the straightness. But it really wasn't an octagon. It really wasn't a circle. But it was sort of something like in between that. And that was, I'd say it didn't take up their whole cheek. So it wasn't like they were missing a cheek or anything. But this dark spot on their cheek, if you would do like the size of the cheek, it would, I'm gonna say maybe like 2 inches like sort of, nah, that would be too big. I'd have to say more like an inch. Because the eyes, where the black was for where their eyes was, this black spot was like a little bit smaller than like one of their eyes was. So, um, anyway, each of them had that on their cheek. I don't know if that was like another eye. I don't know, or if it's like some kind of dark mark or something. But either way, it stood out like their eyes did. Like you couldn't really see it, but the space was there. Like, because you're like, I'm looking at this glowing face, like, so that's the part that wasn't glowing. That was like the black. Um, it's so hard to describe. So, anyway, the the three faces started coming right towards the bed, on the side of the bed that I was on. So, at first, as they started coming over, I couldn't even move. I was like, I think like I was almost in shock, a scared shock feeling. And so anyway, as they came closer to the bed, and they got like right on the side where I was at, I finally was able to just jump up and start screaming. I mean, I was screaming in terror as I was running. Like I was running out of my parents' room, and I ran to the steps and I just jumped. Like I didn't go down the steps, I just jumped. But my dad must have, as soon as I started screaming, coming to see what was wrong with me. So he caught me in midair. He was still down towards the bottom of the steps, but I just ran and just jumped, and you know, thank God my dad caught me. And anyway, I was just terrified, screaming. I was holding on to my dad. He's like carrying me over to the couch, and just screaming about these three faces with these big eyes, and there's these things with like big eyes, these three faces, and I was just like freaking out. And like I said, I was still young because I was around like eight-ish years old at that point. And so my mom and my dad, they tried everything to calm me down, but I'm like, there was no calming me down. I was a total mess. And I wouldn't stop screaming about these faces and these big eyes. So it was so bad, and my parents ended up taking me to the hospital. So even in the car, I was my dad was driving. My mom was in the front seat, but my mom had me in her lap, and I'm just terrified and just I guess kind of I think I was even like sometimes like kicking and stuff, and just I was just freaked out. I was totally totally freaked out. And anyway, at the hospital, now this is back in the 70s, mind you, so definitely nothing like today's technology. It was back in the 70s, it was different. Things were different. Technology was definitely different. But anyway, the doctors, they like checked me out and everything. I'm pretty sure they gave me a sedative because like I don't remember a whole lot at the hospital. I mean, I remember the one doctor that came in the room. I remember he was like an older guy, so I remember him coming in the room. I remember a lady coming in the room. I think she was like a nurse, and I just remember them, like trying to tell me to calm down and settle down, and I kept telling them the same thing. Like there was these green faces with these big eyes, and and I'm just like I said, I was like freaking out. But like I said, then I don't really remember anything at the hospital anymore because I think, like I said, they probably gave me like some kind of sedative or something like that. So the next thing I actually remember from the hospital, like from when I was at the hospital, was actually waking up in my bed at my house. So that's why I'm pretty sure I think they had sedated me because, yeah, I know they did tests on me and stuff. I don't remember them, but I know when I woke up, um, my mom and dad had told me, like, don't worry, like, everything's okay. Like, they did tests on you at the hospital, everything's good, you're fine. And they said, like, don't worry about the faces with the big green eyes because they weren't really there. The doctor said that you were just hallucinating. And then I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what? And they said, that just means that you're seeing something that just wasn't really there. And I'm like, they were there. I saw them. So now I'm crying and stuff. And I'm like, they were really there. I saw them. I saw them and stuff like that. And anyway, they said that basically the doctor said, and this was actually in the winter time. So they basically said, well, the doctor thinks that you probably hit your head while you were sledding today. And that's why this is happening. And I'm like trying to tell my mom and dad, I'm like, but mom, dad, like, I didn't hit my head. Like, if I would have hit my head sledding, I would have told you, I would have said something. Like, so honestly, guys, 100% when I was sledding that day, I did not hit my head. I didn't have any kind of sled accidents. I didn't, where our house is, we have like a hill that, you can sled down and it goes down to the street, but I don't, well, really, there's nothing even there for me to hit my head on if I think about it because of the snow, like where the yard comes down from the house, it's a little hill and then there's like a curb and then the street. But, with all it was a good amount of snow. So, there, I mean, I guess if they would think like once I got to the street or something, I fell out and maybe like hit my head on the road. I mean, I don't know. It was just, that was their explanation for it anyway. But that explanation, I can tell you, was 100% wrong, 100% false because I know I did not hit my head while I was sledding. And I know, and my parents should have known if I would have told them. So, anyway, make a long story short, that that was the explanation. So my parents believed that, I hit my head sledding and I must have been hallucinating. So I, it's hard. I guess it's hard for parents because, you know, I guess they don't, I don't know. I guess I could say for me, my parents probably considered me like out of the ordinary or not normal with certain things or whatever. But so I guess it was probably hard for them, you know, and they, as parents do, they try to come up with the more logical explanation to, I guess, to make the child feel like everything's okay. But, for me, I know it wasn't okay. I mean, nothing happened to me when the faces were in the room and they were coming towards, well, I would say my bed. It's really my mom's bed, but coming towards the bed on my side. There was no pain. They didn't hurt me. I didn't, it happened so quickly. But, you know, I remember also my dad, like, telling the doctor, too. He's when, as she jumped, he's when she got to the top of the steps and just jumped, he said, I couldn't even see her eyes. He said, all I could see was the whites of her eyes. And the doctor, I guess, must have told him that's because of how scared I was. Like, I guess, like, my eyes went towards the back or whatever. So, yeah, I remember my dad telling that to the doctor, too. Like, all I could see was the whites of her eyes. So, yeah, and that's about the only things that I can remember from all that. It was crazy. It was terrifying, obviously. I mean, I it was terrible. And it was hard that, my parents couldn't understand, and my, the doctor just saying I must have hit my head. It's almost like, when you're going through that and somebody's not believing you, it's really hard. You want them to just understand. Like I said, I was only like 8ish years old, and I just wanted them to hear me, I guess, like, to understand and believe that, like, this is what I really saw. And but that didn't happen because, like I said, I supposedly hit my head sledding that day, even though I really didn't. And anyway, that's about all that I really remember with that. It was just crazy. And then we had lived there, I'd say, almost another year before we moved to another house again. So I don't remember anything like really bad or scary, or I definitely didn't see any of those faces again. So yeah, so we were in that house another year. So I have to say, in that house, you know, that's really the only thing that I could remember that would be, you know, out of the ordinary, scary, or whatever. Because, like I said, when we moved there, it was peaceful. And then after that, you know, it was peaceful again. Like, it, I don't know how to explain it because it was scary, but it was weird because, even though I was so terrified like that, like, I don't, I don't remember it, like, sticking in me to, like, to be scared. Is this gonna happen again? Or do I need to protect myself? Or, like, I don't remember feeling that way. So I'm not sure, like, how that panned out the way it did with that. But anyway, that was my third story, guys, and I hope you enjoy it. And, like I said, maybe some things like this have happened to other people too. I'm sure they have, maybe in different ways, but it still happens. So, all right, I hope you all have a good day and have a good night, and hopefully I'll get to do another story again sometime. I'm still new at all this, so I'm just trying to remember how to figure out how to turn this off when it's time. So, alright, guys, well, thanks for listening. Thanks for hearing my stories. And, again, this'll be story number 3 in my experiences. Like, little collection or whatever you want to call it. So, alright, thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day. Have a good night. Okay, bye.